Oh, hope that you feel me, yeah. It's not going as I planned. I'm on my knees, I'm kneeling by your side, talking fast as I can. I can see the pain you feel inside. It's cold all alone. If I had one wish to make it right, your troubles would be long gone. Look how fast we made it home. Look how fast we made it home. Suddenly, my life has changed.
Because my father was preacher, helped him or take his place one day.
But some people say, not for the better. But I'm not destined to walk this road on my own. Through all kinds of weather. Look how fast we made it home. Look how fast we made it home.
The study group. We started the study group in my mother's house right here. I grew up. We had a bootleg house, and my people always was hustlers. My grandmother, she sold bootleg liquor, and she was pretty ruthless at it. You know, I saw people get shot down here and cut and stabbed right down here from where we live. I seen my granddaddy cut a man up down here from the head to the toe. But all this down through here, black people, Sunnyside Drive, this was like the worst part of this Greer area. I mean, and, where black folks live, across the tracks and down the tracks. White folks live on this side, across the track, man. Every city, same thing, across the tracks. And, back then you couldn't get caught on that side of town at night because that was across the tracks. And so we on this side and they was on this side. That was the mill over there, back over in there. You can come over there and go to work, but you better not get caught on that side after dark. And the same thing, they better not get caught on this side when it get dark either. So that's the way it was back then. And I'm 56 years old, and I still had experienced the racism part of when we couldn't go into the doctor's office with white people. Same way with the restaurant. They had a restaurant that right up here where we're gonna be passing in a minute, where it was black folks had to go out, had to get their food. They couldn't come inside. They had to go out in the parking lot, and somebody would bring your food to you because you couldn't go inside the restaurant. That was that little racist restaurant. But my grandma knew all these white folks up here. My grandma was pretty ruthless. I mean, they used to come and try to arrest her all the time for selling bootleg liquor. But she was so ruthless, they could never catch her. And when they finally came in the house and thought they caught her, she had the liquor on the stove in a pot. So they came in there. They came in there and tried to arrest her, but what she did, she said, Lucille, we got you now. She said, oh no, you ain't got me. This is not my house. This is James' house. That's my granddaddy. So my granddaddy, he went to jail. So that was one time they tried to catch her. Then I guess about a month or two later, they came back to try to get her. She was just so ruthless. They were scared of her. She came back and they tried to get her again. She threw the whole pot of liquor on them. She said, y'all had that on you when you came in here. They couldn't mess with it. They had no evidence. She was just ruthless, man. Before we came into the teaching, we wasn't no angels, brother. It's the first time I tried cocaine, I didn't understand it. It's just like, man, what's the big deal about this thing, cocaine, but I didn't understand it at that point. So when I did understood what it did, that's a whole nother story, because it made me understand what people are going through now. I understand their addiction by having that experience, because it do raises your level to make you feel important and make you raise you up to your low self-esteem. If you got low self-esteem, it raises your self-esteem up. It make you feel like you somebody, even if you feel like if you ain't shit while you're not on it, you somebody when you get on it. make you feel like you the greatest, you the best, you the smartest, you the wisest. Does all that for you. So that's why it's so prominent in the black community, because we got low self-esteem in our community. That's why they poured it into our community. But once you hear the teachings, it's higher than any kind of drugs that you can ever use, because the minister said that a book is just like wings, and it puts you on another kind of high, and that's the high that we seek for and look for. Anyway, Bobby had won a scholarship to go to Arizona. He met some Muslim brothers out there, and they started telling him about the teaching. And so when he got out there in Arizona, so he came back. When he came back here, he bought cassette tapes, and he was so excited about it. He had a book, The Message to the Black Man, and so we was like, okay, man, what you got? So he gave me a cassette tape. Said, man, listen to this cassette tape, man. Say, this is something powerful. So I guess I listened to this tape for, it took me a minute, because at this particular time, I was getting my high on. I was like snorting a little cocaine, drinking beer. That was my thing. So I ain't really have time to want to hear no tapes. So I guess it was like on a Friday night, after 2 weeks of him bugging me about listening to this tape. On a Friday night, I said, okay, let me throw this tape in, because when I see Bobby again, I don't want his ass bugging me about wanting me to did I hear the tape. So I was up on the highway and got my little cocaine, got my little 6-pack of beer, so I'm ready to roll out. So while I'm headed to the club, I throw him a tape in that the brother wanted me to hear. And Minister Farrakhan, I didn't know his name, but I just heard this man talking, and he was talking about the resurrection of the dead. And I was like, okay, the resurrection of the dead. He said, you've been made a fool by white folk. I turned it on up a little bit more. I'm like, man, he on it. And then he said, you go put $40 and $50 and put a curl in your head. And he said, you won't put no knowledge in your brain. And I had a curl about coming down here about that time. I'm like, oh boy, he on something. I cut it up a little bit more. About the time I got to the end of the road, where I was headed to the club, I done throw my cocaine out the window, throw my little 6-pack of beer out the window. I'm looking for Brother Bobby. I need to see this brother. So I finally run Brother Bobby down the next day. And I said, brother, I need some more of them tapes. He said, you got the one I gave? I said, I done listened to it 10 times. I couldn't go to sleep over and over. At that time, I had memorized it, the whole thing. So he said, hey, I got some more. The next following week, got the tape. Minister Farrakhan was going to be, I heard, in Atlanta, Georgia. And I like, man, I got to get down to Atlanta. Didn't know where I was going to stay when I got to Atlanta. All I know is I needed to see this man, because this was something that I never heard, and something that I always been inquisitive about religion. So I was okay, man, let me go see what's going on with this. So I got to Atlanta, $30 in my pocket. I was at the Wheat Street Baptist Church in Atlanta, Georgia. And I told them, this is your first time here, brother? Yes, first time here. They took me right up to the front, right on the front row. I was like, boy, I'm on the front row. And I got there, the other speakers was talking, but I didn't even know what they were talking about. Other people that came out and talked, I didn't know what they were talking about. But I guess 10 or 15 minutes later, they said, here come the Minister Louis Farrakhan. He came out there. It looked like he was gliding on a cloud. And I was looking for a big, dark-skinned man, because he's talking so much about blackness. Then I'm like, man, he looked like a white man. But then he got closer and closer. Then I could see he just was fair-skinned. And, man, he got to talking. I mean, I still got the tapes at the Wheat Street Baptist Church. This was back in the 1980. And so we got the tape, man. So I listened to it. So he was there for 3 nights. Got ready to leave. I like, man, what I'm going to do? I don't know where I'm going to stay. I don't know nobody down here in Atlanta. the people who brought me down there, I don't even know which way they went. I'm like, man, where am I gonna stay? And it was a brother that was from the same town that I'm from. I ran into him walking out the door. He said, man, what you doing down here? I said, man, I had to come and see this man. I said, he said, where you staying at? I said, I don't know. He said, you staying with me? He said, you staying with me? I said, okay. So, man, 3 days, the minister was down there for 3 days, man. And his message was so profound. When I got back home, it was 3 days before I could speak. My mind was running with all the stuff that he had said. And people was talking to me. You know, I was being like not like I was a mummy, but I just like in this house, in the room, back room, for 3 days. I didn't speak. I didn't eat for 3 days. So after that, I had to go find my best friend. We grew up together. We did dirt together. We getting high together. Same one that we snorted together, whatever. His name was Roy. So I like, Roy, boy, so you got to hear this, man. After I come up out of my stumble or I don't know what happened. I was just like transformed or something. I didn't know what had happened. Because me and him, we was out here in the streets and we did a little bit of everything that could be done. I mean, you know, getting all whatever, because we was going to Charlotte back and forth trying to find out what we need to do. So we went to Charlotte, and so we started writing the letter and getting the letter done. Then we started like learning the lessons. After we learned the lessons and everything, we said, okay. So I got the X and whatever. I had my car, because at this particular time, a lot of people didn't have a VCR, believe it or not. And so I had the TV in the back seat of my car, and I would ride around and ask people, because I couldn't explain the teachings that good, and still can't, as better than the minister can explain it. And so I would ask people would they want to hear the minister, and then tell them about the Nation of Islam. And they say, well, we don't have a VCR. So I said, I got a VCR. We don't have a TV. I got a TV. I had a big back. They ain't like no flat screen TV like they got now. I had a big back TV in the back seat of my car with a DVD, with a not a DVD, but a VHS tape. And so when they let me come in the house, man, I lugged that TV out the car back seat and go set up and show the minister. And it was like a 2-hour tape, man, but it was like 2 hours wasn't nothing to me. And you know, I didn't realize till later on that, man, that could have been a long time. But they sat there and watched it for 2 hours, and I sat there and watched it with them for 2 hours. And sometimes it was one, sometimes it may be 5 people, sometimes it was down to 1 person. I didn't care whether 1 person, 2 people. I'm gonna pull that big back TV out of the back seat of my car and go up in there and set up and show the minister speaking, and you know, just whoever would see it, whoever would want to see it. And we got set up at the church one time, and this is at Brother Roy's church, and the preacher, he didn't know and understand what it was at that particular time. And so we were showing it, and the minister was teaching about true Christian love on this tape, and it's about 1985. And so it got to going, man, and the people got already interested in it. Oh, the preacher jumped up, man. About 15 minutes into it, the preacher jumped up. Oh no, we can't have that. We can't have that in here. We can't have that. We can't have that in here. And so we like, well, what's the problem? You know, we's a Baptist church, and we can't have the fiery hound. Niggas couldn't even talk, couldn't even say his name back then. So we couldn't have that in our church. So we packed up, you know, 'cause hey, same situation there. We took our TV and VCR down there to the church. I don't know whether the church had one or not, but we wasn't gonna take no for an answer. They said we could do it. We set up, and so we got kind of ran out of that situation. But people got upset with the preacher because they wanted to hear it, and so those people that was upset, later on, we ended up taking the TV to their house and let the people that wanted to hear it anyway. So, and we had a couple of black preachers that, you know, to try to oppose what we was doing, but we would shut them down. They couldn't say nothing about the minister unless they wanted us to come to see them, and they knew that about us all we know that Minister Farrakhan was the man, and he the baddest and the greatest man that we ever heard in our life, and we didn't give a damn about what nobody else said, Dr. King or whoever else was coming along at that time, Dave's speeches or whatever, because they gave us a tape to hear Wallace D. Muhammad. And at that time, I didn't really care to hear Wallace Dean. The only reason that I would listen to Wallace Dean now because the minister and the way that he talk about him. But at that time, they was totally, Wallace D people was against the minister. And so you was against the minister, I was against your ass. I mean, I ain't want to hear shit you had to say if you wasn't saying nothing good about the minister. So I had wrote Minister Farrakhan a letter. I still got the letter. And telling him about what we was trying to start. We didn't have nobody, didn't know what we was doing. And he said that's when they sent us to Charlotte. He said, just be patient, stick with the teachings. He said, Allah bless you. And so we followed that procedure and went to Charlotte. This was back in like 81, 82. But after that, after we got acquainted, Brother Roy got involved, Sister Lexis got involved. Sister Lexis knew about the teaching. Sister Lexis moved here from Ohio, and she knew about the teaching because she was already involved in the nation. Cause when she came here, man, she was so instrumental in helping us to learn about the teaching. Because, like I said, we didn't know anything. Me and Roy was just like here by ourselves, and we didn't know nothing about the Nation of Islam, never heard of. We were the only two, except Brother Bobby in this town, that knew anything about Islam. You know, we didn't have no money to do anything. We just had a little piece of job here and there. But Brother Roy was working pretty steady, and he supported it financially. He got involved. We were just so on fire with the teachings that we just tried to do everything. We went to Charlotte, man. The captain in Charlotte then, but brother, we called him then. He was Brother Kendall. But Brother Kendall now is in Supreme Captain in Chicago's office. His name was changed to Brother Amin. Yeah, and he gave us 5 papers, man. We first started. Gave Brother Roy 5 and gave me 5. And man, we came down here. We had hell with them 5 papers. I mean, and he came down here, man, and when he got here, Brother Roy had 4 papers, and I had 4. And cause we just had bought one, he bought one, I bought one, and we had 4 papers when he got down here. He got on our ass so bad. So man, y'all know everybody in this damn town, and y'all ain't. And I come down here and I give y'all 10 damn papers, and y'all ain't sold no 10 damn papers. What the hell? You know, brothers went off, man. You know, so he said, well, you know, we ain't never sold nothing, man. But dope, you know. So he said, well, you know how to sell dope? It's the same thing. so man, he came out here with us, man. We walked, and he was showing us, you know, the mannerism. Brother, this is how you do it. You go in and you talk to the people. He know this rap, man. I think it was like, don't stop me cause I'm close to the edge. I mean, he knew all them rap songs, and he would tell us them rap songs and going through them rap songs. Man, we saw them papers like that. Next time he came back down here, we had 50, and we was boom, boom, boom. You know, they wouldn't last us no time. We was just like taking the bundles of papers and selling the papers like that, like it wasn't nothing. After, you know, we got the concept of it. And Brother Lee started it over there in Charlotte, and then these other brothers came from places that they was already around, knew about the teaching, like they was from out of New York and other places. And some of the brothers came up from the old resurrection after they got started coming in, started helping. It's still small. I mean, it's still grassroots. I mean, I heard the minister had started in 1979, 1980, 81 when he started to rebuild, like 80, 81. And so I heard him in 80. And we started working, man. You know, we decided to move the Masa, the study group, to Greenville, man. And they knew more about the teaching. Some of them guys that came from the old resurrection, they knew about the minister. And these guys was big drug dealers at this time. And so we was in Greenville, needing money to put the radio on. So this dude, man, he told us to come out to the club. And he said, man, I give y'all some money to help y'all keep the minister on the radio. So come out to the club. The club called the Gunners out there in Greenville. So me and Brother Roy went out there to the club. He said, man, this all I got in my pocket right now. He said, take this and come back next week. So we went straight to the radio station and had the minister all over this area on the radio, blasting on the radio. We used to get a little controversy behind that, little few phone calls behind that, but it wasn't nothing, you know, that to the point where nobody was out trying to rally or do anything about it. Then we ran into this Brother Ronnie's brother. His name was Mooney. Mooney was big into drug activities and things like that. But Mooney had a lot of money. Mooney had so much money. He said, brother, he saw our efforts, man. We was working. He said, I got one thing I need to do. He said, I'm gonna put all this down. I'm gonna get with the nation, man, with the minister, and I'm gonna put all this stuff behind me. I'm gonna build y'all a mosque from scratch, from the ground up. Build y'all a mosque, cause you and this brother, I trust y'all, brother. Y'all some good brothers. This brother had a Mercedes, customized Mercedes. Wasn't now nothing like it nowhere in the world. And so he was gonna do that for us, man. And then, you know, something happened to the brother that last was, anyway, the brother got killed in a motel about a week or two later. And don't know to this day really what transpired with him. But, you know, that just go to show you that you know, the lesson in that for me and Brother Roy, that you can't make no bargain with God. You can't bargain with God. You can't tell Allah, you got one more thing to do, then I'm going to do this because he's in charge of whatever that one more thing is. People will come, man. And we later on in the years, you know, then we had Dr. Collett came. I guess we were probably like in the 90s, maybe about the 90s then. Dr. Collett was like the minister's national spokesperson at this particular time. And Doc came, and he didn't want to stay. He didn't want to spend no money staying in no motel. He didn't really trust white people, period. You know, he didn't really want to be hanging out with them and nothing. So he stayed with me in the house for 3 days. He stayed, and we would talk, you know, and he would go off in the room, and here I am living in an apartment, and I got a Rolls Royce sitting out there in my apartment, and people looking like, he got a Rolls Royce. And Doc was like, man, you know, he would let us drive or whatever. Me and Brother Roy would come over there that morning to pick Doc up, and he would go call the minister on a payphone at a restaurant and talk to the minister and about what was going on and whatever. And then, you know, the next day, you know, we'll take him and we may go to Orangeburg or whatever. He'd come back and stay at my apartment. I got a big Rolls Royce out there in my apartment. But, you know, Doc told me and Brother Roy, he said that he was talking about Malcolm X. He said him and Malcolm X wore the same size shoe. And he said that told us that he don't walk the path that Malcolm walked. And this was way before he left the nation. This was like in the 90s, man. And he was telling me and Brother Roy this. And I don't know, but I guess he ended up walking in Malcolm's shoes. He left the minister and, you know, started doing his own thing. I didn't care who came. I mean, at that point in my life, Jesus could have came. I still would have been with the minister. You know, because to me, he was the Jesus that I was looking for and still is. I mean, so I didn't care who left, who walked away. And that's all I ever wanted to do, man, was to help the minister. But, and all over the mosque today, and I'll tell anybody to their face, we got a lot of hypocrites and a lot of agents that's stopping the progress of the Nation of Islam right now. And I think the nation would be much further along, but we got a lot of people that don't want to see the minister succeed to go forward, but they can't stop him. And they take people like myself and other brothers that was good helpers of the minister. And I understand the statement now that the minister said, the Honorable Elijah Muhammad said that my best followers are still in the streets. And I didn't know that I was going to be one of them. So that's where we are today. We in the streets, and some of the most brothers that helped us to build and get the Nation of Islam to where it is. And it was true. His best followers, man, are still out here in the streets. If the people were back, the ones that started out this journey, we would take the nation to another level. Brother Stephen Muhammad, Greenville, South Carolina. Assalamu alaikum.